Mr. Peters, you understand why you're here this morning, correct?
Correct.
In your own words, how come?
I'm here for the case between Michael and Joel and the events that transpired that night.
Okay. Person Michael, you know him, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you've known him for how long?
Most of my life, since I was born.
You met him when?
He was my neighbor back in the day.
And the Michael you're referring to, do you see him in court this morning?
Yes, I do.
Just point out where he is and what he's wearing as he's in court.
He's wearing a blue jacket with a blue tie.
To your far right at the table?
Correct.
I would ask the record reflect the identification of Mr. Mattioli by the witness.
No objection. So ordered.
Mr. Peters, if you had to put a label on your relationship with Mr. Mattioli, what would it be?
A really good friend.
You also mentioned Joel, correct?
Correct.
What do you know about Joel? How long have you known him?
I've only met him once before that night.
And that night's the night why we're here, correct?
Correct.
You had met him once before that night, approximately when?
If I were to guess, it would be maybe a week or two before that.
And how did you meet him? What was the context of that meeting?
We were at a pub crawl.
And when you say we, who's the we?
Me, Michael, and Joel.
Just a little bit. You spent most of your life in Milwaukee, correct?
Correct.
You graduated from UWM?
Correct.
You have a degree in mechanical engineering?
Correct.
You currently employed?
Yes.
Doing what?
I'm a GM for a health and wellness store, and I do HVAC work on the side.
The reason you're here, the morning in question, where did those events happen?
At Michael's house.
And do you remember the address?
I do not.
It was in Milwaukee, wasn't it?
Correct.
About what time did you go to Michael's house?
Around 9 o'clock.
In the evening?
Yes.
And what was planned?
Just to hang out, have a couple of drinks. And there's a bonfire there.
And how did you get there?
I drove.
You arrive. Who's there?
When I got there, it was Michael, Joel, and Andrew.
And what's Andrew's last name?
Janowski.
And who is Andrew Janowski to you?
I met him in high school. He's a high school friend.
Still a friend of yours?
I haven't spoken or seen him since, but yes.
Since these events you're going to talk about, is that correct?
Correct.
But up to that point in time, he was your friend?
Yes.
You arrived, you drove there, correct?
Correct.
So once you're there, Mr. Mattioli, correct?
Correct.
Joel?
Correct.
Andrew Janowski?
Yes.
Anybody else?
No.
And when you arrive, where are those three men?
From what I remember, they were in the backyard by the fire.
Basically, a bonfire going on in a fire pit, is that correct?
Correct.
What do you recall doing then once you arrived?
Just having a couple of drinks and just talking.
Outside?
Yes.
You had brought what with you in terms to drink?
I brought a 12-pack of Corona Seltzer and a little bit of vodka I left over.
At that time, and you remember what year this was?
2020.
Do you remember the date?
The investigator told me I spoke with April 19th, I believe. Or
That seemed about right?
Yes.
At that time, 3.5 years ago, you also were using cocaine, weren't you?
Yes.
Did you have cocaine with you?
Yes.
While you were there at Mr. Mattioli's house, you were drinking alcohol?
Yes.
Were you using cocaine?
Yes.
When you used it, did you use it publicly or did you hide what you were using?
I would hide.
And explain how you would do that.
I usually would go in the bathroom and use a key to do cocaine.
By yourself?
Yes.
And why were you hiding it?
Because I was at a police officer's house and I didn't want anybody to know.
Did you use cocaine that evening with anybody else?
No.
While you're sitting outside, you're drinking, correct?
Correct.
Occasionally, if you can say how many times you would leave, excuse yourself, use a little cocaine and come back?
Maybe once or twice.
You didn't tell anybody what you were doing, correct?
Correct.
While you were outside, was there any communication between you and Joel about cocaine usage?
Verbally, no.
Through text message?
Yes.
Explain that.
So while I was there, Joel texted me, do you want to go in for some blow?
And blow means what?
Cocaine.
You received that from a text message?
Yes.
Did you respond either a text going back or verbally?
No.
Fair to say you just ignored it?
Yes.
Okay, so there were drugs and alcohol at this party. How does that factor in? How do those things affect the brain and therefore affect our behaviors? To talk about that, we've got an expert on the show this hour. Joining us, Dr. Sue Kornbluth. She's a psychologist, professor, author, and a nationally recognized relationship expert. Dr. Sue, good morning to you.
Good morning, Julie.
Oh, good to see you, my friend. Would you take us to school, please, when we're thinking about different substances, how they affect the brain? We know that these were issues that came up in ultimately what led to Joel Acevedo's death. Let's start with the cocaine and what that does to the brain, please.
Well, cocaine is a stimulant, okay? So it makes the brain race at times. You're on a high. But anytime you're using a drug, right, your way of functioning is skewed. And so sometimes you don't recall what you're doing. You don't have memories of it. And you don't know exactly how your actions or what is going on is going to affect the way that you are behaving. And I'm thinking in this situation here, the cocaine use with the alcohol combined would really skew the memory of what has happened here.
Yeah, no, great point, Dr. Sue. Could we talk about the alcohol, too, and what happens when alcohol is mixed with a stimulant like cocaine?
Well, it exacerbates everything. Let's remember, too, that when you come off of alcohol, when you come down from that, it's really a depressant. So you need more and more of it to maintain the effect of the buzz or whatever is going on with you. Now, when you mix that with cocaine, it's taken to another level. It's like a double high. And so, again, you're not going to recall. Many people don't recall conversations that they have when they're on cocaine. So let's not forget that when we're talking about this case as well.
Right. No, appreciate it, Dr. Sue. This is going to be big, really, really big in terms of how Joel Acevedo died. And remember, these guys are friends. You know, when you hear they're friends, that's why they're together. Officer Michael Mattioli being accused of causing the death, but is what happened criminal, or was this just an unfortunate tragedy? That's really the question this jury was faced with. Dr. Sue, I'm so glad you're with us. Stand by for more questions if you would kindly. We have to hit a break, but when we come back, Christopher Peters' testimony continues, and he's describing the jovial house party that sadly turned deadly the night that Joel Acevedo died.
A former police officer charged in the chokehold death of his friend.
His conduct was not only criminally reckless, but showed utter disregard for life.
Mr. Mattioli acted reasonably, and he acted appropriately.
I knew that as soon as he got back up, there was going to be more punches thrown.
You'll see this dramatic trial unfold right here on Court TV.
I know what I did. I know I wasn't choking him.
The deadly cop chokehold trial. Trial coverage today on Court TV.
Thanks for being with us here on Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. This morning, we are bringing you another brand new trial. This one we've deemed the deadly cop chokehold trial for defendant Michael Mattioli. This one just went to court. The trial has already occurred, but this one was so good. It happened during Charlie Adelson's trial that we have to show it to you. This is so tricky, the facts of this case, because the victim and the defendant are friends. And the victim's at the defendant's house because they're good friends. And things get really, really dicey after a night of drinking and cocaine involved. On the stand right now, witness number one, the defendant's neighbor. His name is Christopher Peters, and he's talking about the events that led up to Joel Acevedo's death. Take a look.
While you're outside, do you ever see Joel excuse himself from the group and go somewhere else?
Not that I remember.
The four of you are basically sitting around drinking. How would you describe the setting? People getting along? What's going on?
Yeah, it was a really good time from what I remember.
How were you feeling? What were you talking about, if you remember? I realize this is 3.5 years ago. What do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember what anybody was talking about?
Not specifically, no.
But what you remember is it's a good time, people are getting along. Is that fair?
Fair.
At some point in time, you leave the backyard, is that correct?
Correct.
About what time?
Maybe around midnight or so.
And do you remember why?
I think it was getting cold and the fire was going out.
Where do you go once you leave the backyard?
We all went into the kitchen.
Of
Michael's house.
And when you say we, who's the we?
Joel, Andrew, Michael, and myself.
There are four of you in the kitchen. Michael live alone?
Yes.
Anybody else in the house?
No.
There's a kitchen table in there, correct?
Correct.
Do the four of you sit around the table?
Yes.
What happens then?
I think we just did some shots, had a couple of drinks. That's all I remember, really.
To the best you remember, you're doing the shots and having a couple of drinks?
Yes.
How about Mr. Janowski?
I don't remember.
How about Mr. Acevedo? Joel?
I don't remember.
How about Mr. Mattioli?
I don't remember that either.
How would you describe your condition?
Intoxicated.
In the kitchen, while the four of you are sitting around the table, what are you guys doing?
Just drinking, maybe playing some cards. I don't remember.
Talking?
Yes.
How would you describe the atmosphere in the kitchen?
It was still joyful. Everybody was getting along.
Were you planning on going home, or what were you planning on doing that evening?
I was planning on sleeping over
And why is that?
because I don't want to drive when I'm under the influence of alcohol.
At some point in time, in fact, you went to a place to go to sleep, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you remember about what time that was?
Maybe around 1:30 or 2.
And where did you go?
I went to the basement.
What's in the basement?
A couch, and there's a bathroom down there. And that's about all I remember.
When you went to the basement, if you recall, where's Mr. Janowski?
I don't remember.
How about Joel Acevedo?
I don't remember.
How about Mr. Mattioli?
I don't remember.
You're in the basement. Did you fall asleep?
Yes.
What's the next thing you remember?
The next thing I remember, I woke up to some yelling.
Do you know about what time that was?
Maybe around 7:30, 8.
In the morning, correct?
Correct.
The sound of yelling, where's it coming from?
It's coming from the living room.
And the yelling wakes you up, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you distinguish who's yelling?
At the time, no, but when I entered the living room, it was Joelle and Michael.
So let me just back up a moment. You hear the yelling,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
You're downstairs, it wakes you up.
Correct.
What do you then do?
I ran upstairs to see what's going on.
And those stairs from the basement, when you come up to the stairs, what room of Mr. Mattioli's house do you enter?
You enter the kitchen from the stairs.
You're in the kitchen. Do you see Joelle Acevedo, Michael Mattioli, or Andrew Janowski?
Not in the kitchen, but in the living room.
The kitchen and the living room are really just separated by a small hall with a bathroom. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you see the three men in the living room. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what do you see or what do you hear going on once you're at the top of this, on the first floor?
I see Joelle and Michael screaming at each other, and Michael was telling them to get out of his house and telling them to leave. And Joelle was refusing to leave. And Michael mentioned something about Joelle going through his pockets.
The living room of Mr. Mattioli's house, there's a front door right there. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's also a side door through the kitchen, correct?
Correct.
You're standing in an area that if somebody wanted to go out the side door, they'd have to walk through you. Is that correct?
Correct.
When you hear what you just described, Mr. Mattioli telling Joelle to leave, where are they standing? Where, like, from the front door of Mr. Mattioli's house, where is he?
They were both right by the front door.
And where was Andrew?
I don't remember.
So again, what do you hear Mr. Mattioli saying to Joelle?
I'm sorry.
What do you hear Mr. Mattioli saying to Joelle once you're on the main floor?
He was telling him to get out, to leave his house.
And you heard him say why, correct? Or he was saying he did something, is that correct?
Correct.
What did you hear Mr. Mattioli say Joelle did?
He's saying he was going through his pockets.
And what, if anything, do you hear Joelle saying?
When Michael was asking him to leave his house, Joelle was refusing and saying, like, no, like, you, stuff like that.
What do you remember happening then?
I remember Joelle shoving Michael back.
Okay, just because there's a record, you demonstrated with your right arm going out with your palm open, correct?
I don't remember. I guess I was just using emotion, but I don't remember specifically. But I remember he shoved him.
Joelle shoved Michael.
Correct.
That's in the living room?
Yes.
Causing Michael, Mr. Mattioli, to do what?
He fell back a little bit.
Did he fall on his back or his butt, or did he just sort of take a step back?
Take a step back.
What do you remember happening then?
Then I remember getting in between them and doing this motion, trying to separate them.
So you're between Mr. Mattioli and Joelle.
Correct.
And what you've demonstrated is holding your hands out, arms out, trying to keep them separated. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that what you demonstrated in court? Is that what you were doing?
From what I remember, yes.
What do you remember happening then?
After that, I got a punch in the face.
Who hit you?
Joelle.
Where in the face?
He punched me once in the nose, and then he also punched me right by my eye.
What happened to you as a result of being punched?
I fell backwards into the kitchen. I got knocked off my feet.
You were up? You were like on your butt, or were you up on your feet?
I was on my butt. I was on my back.
What do you remember happening then?
I remember Andrew giving Joelle a bear hug from behind, trying to stop him from coming at me.
When that happens, you're where?
I was in the kitchen.
And when you see Andrew give Joelle a bear hug, where are they?
They are right where the living room and the kitchen meet. So
In the bear hug, is it chest to chest or is it chest to back? How?
I don't remember.
You see a bear hug between Andrew bear hugs Joel, correct?
Correct.
What do you remember then?
I remember Joel and Michael and Andrew. Michael and Andrew were trying to like detain Joel, like make him relax, and they all like fall over into the kitchen.
Are you still on your butt, or have you gotten up at that point?
I was up at that point, and I was right by the side door.
The side door is a door that's in the kitchen that leads out to the driveway, correct?
Correct.
Correct to say that at that point in time, the four of you were all in the kitchen.
Correct.
What do you remember happening then?
I remember Michael saying he was going to call the police. He said that maybe 2 or 3 times. And then he went into his pocket to grab his phone, call the police.
And when Michael did that, where were you?
I was in the kitchen.
Where?
The same spot by the side door.
Where is Andrew Janowski?
Andrew was by Joel's feet.
Where's Michael?
Michael is by Joel as well, by his like chest, his upper torso.
And where's Joel?
Joel's on the ground.
Correct to say that 3 people are on the ground, you're standing up.
Correct.
And when you say Joel's on the ground, how is he on the ground?
I don't remember.
You don't remember if he's on his chest, his side, his back?
I don't remember.
And what do you see Michael doing?
Michael's reaching for his cell phone to call the police.
What is Joel doing?
Joel was swinging and like struggling, like fighting.